I grew up in Goa in India, which was I used to go there every year, and there was a party scene there, and
Right.
it was like early rave. It wasn't called rave, but it was a bunch of Europeans doing drugs on a beach, dancing to music.
Right.
It was proto-rave. And I was very, very young, and I saw that. That kind of stayed somewhere buried in my head. And then when I was young, and when I was like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, when you're starting to really fall in love, define yourself musically, I don't know, I was always just drawn to electronic music, and I was drawn to a lot of instrumental stuff. And I started to, I don't know, I just liked the repetition. I liked certain sounds, even though I didn't know what they were called. And then when I discovered techno, when I was probably like 16, then everything just made sense. We did this track, and I didn't really have that much to offer technically. Right. So I'm like, I'll sing these words. And I remember we made it really quickly. And then my record store, which I owned, was like a block away. We went quickly to the record store to play it for all the guys at the shop. Yeah. And I remember being so embarrassed. Like, when I'd never heard my voice like that before, but everyone else loved it. We made that in January, and by March, it was like the #1 track all over Germany. Yeah. Everybody was playing it, and then it was a huge track in the summer at the Love Parade.
Powertools. All right, it's Powertools, and we got Tiga in the house. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good, very good.
All right. Got a new album that's really, really hot. You got to be excited about that.
I am.
You know, like HOTLIFE. I mean, it's a vibe. What got you back into the studio and said, let's get an album out?
I'm always kind of in and out of studio, and I guess just there's always a moment when I have enough tracks, like 5 or 6 or 7 that I think are good, that I'm excited about, and then I start to think in terms of albums, you know. But album for me is not so much it's not so much a sonic style as much as like a time in my life. So it's like a chapter in my life. When there's enough stuff happening in an isolated chapter, I kind of throw it all together, come up with some visuals, and tie it up with a ribbon, and it's an album.
So you have to get that group of like 5 to 6 first.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And that could take 2 years. That could take 3 years.
Yes.
That could be in 6 months.
Yeah. It's a little bit like DJing. You know, DJing, sometimes you're working on a new style, you find one record you love, and then 2, and then once you get about 20 of them, you're like, okay, I can start playing that style. So, yeah. I need like also it's a confidence thing. You know, you get enough, you always want to feel like, okay, I got enough hot new stuff to present to it's a hard thing to put into words. It's just a feeling, but it really is more like a period in your life. You also got to feel excited about your life, you know. Like in terms of like what I mean by that is you also have to feel, you know, because a lot goes into an album. You know, you're going to be going out there. You know, it's not like singles or just remixes or whatever. You're going to have to front it, and you're going to go. You need to have the motivation and the excitement to.
You got to feel confident about your body of work. You could put up a single, go, oh, that one didn't do right, or that one went great.
Yeah,
but an album is a little more of
you can't hide.
You can't hide. You're right. It's a defining moment.
Yeah.
You can't just say, oh, we put the album out.
No.
Right.
No, singles you can hide.
Right. So, like, you've remixed everybody from Depeche Mode, Justice, Moby. You've played every festival from Coachella to Glastonbury. Won a Juno Award. Have an amazing record label with Turbo Recordings. You're from Montreal.
Yep.
I was born in Toronto.
Nice.
We got that Canadian thing going on, even though I came to LA when I was 1 year old, but you know, I could still kind of claim it. But let's go back to the beginning of Tiga, and I want to understand, like, where did you first find your passion for dance music? Like, when did it kind of click? Like, sometimes it's a song, sometimes it's a DJ set. When did it click for you?
I think, I always liked, I grew up in Goa in India, which was I used to go there every year, and there was a party scene there, and it was like early rave. It wasn't called rave, but it was a bunch of Europeans doing drugs on a beach, dancing to music. It was proto-rave, and I was very, very young, and I saw that, and so the idea of people dancing to like pop music or to disco, whatever, was something I saw really, really early. And I think that stuck in my head as I don't know, as a cool thing
Right.
to experience and a fun thing to do. That kind of stayed somewhere buried in my head. And then when I was young and when I was like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, when you're starting to really fall in love, define yourself musically, I don't know, I was always just drawn to electronic music, and I was drawn to a lot of instrumental stuff. And I started to, I don't know, I just liked the repetition. I liked certain sounds, even though I didn't know what they were called. And then when I discovered techno, when I was probably like 16, then everything just made sense, because I was like, you know, the little bits of songs that I wanted, the aggression, the power, the futuristic sounding stuff, it was all there. And all the stuff that I didn't like, which was too much musicality or kind of bubblegum stuff or too many lyrics, all that stuff was gone. So I don't know if I really answered your, I mean,
No.
I don't know the beginning,
Yes.
but like,
No, it was more of a journey for you. But the techno that you got into, this was, I'm assuming, early 90s techno. Was this, are we talking like Prodigy? Are we talking like T99? What were you into?
It's just funny, T99 was on the first compilation I bought, Techno Tracks Volume 2 or whatever. But I think, yeah, for me it was the UK rave stuff, Prodigy came a little bit after.
Right.
So right at the beginning, yeah, it was like a lot of early Belgian techno.
James Brown is Dead.
Yeah,
Right.
LA Noise. Yeah,
okay, right.
That's a good one. Yeah, I love that record.
Dance Your Ass Off.
Yeah.
Okay, that was,
you know, so it's like 92.
Right.
It wasn't first wave. You know, I wasn't in Europe. It wasn't 88, 89.
Right.
And it was, you know, I don't know if you were in LA at the time, but LA was a pretty big rave scene.
Oh, yeah,
At that,
definitely.
you know, with Doc Martin
Yeah.
and all that stuff. We used to come out to LA and San Francisco when we were kids because they were the best parties.
Right.
But yeah, you probably, that's what it was. It was like 92, 93, early techno.
Right. I got one of my first records. Maybe you remember this. I was in a group called The Movement.
Oh,
And we had a song called Jump Mother.
that's crazy. I bought that record. I don't particularly like the record. I'm not wild about that.
I don't like the record.
I bought that record in Downtown Records in New York.
Wow.
My parents took me to New York. Is it 93?
It was 92.
Okay.
Yeah, 92.
I got it maybe a bit late.
Yeah.
I know that record,
Right.
and I bought that record, and I remember because, you know, there's a period in your life where you know every record you have.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
You got 7 of them. You remember. So I remember buying that record.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was my first ever release.
Wow.
And Arista signed us saying we're the Techno Beatles. It was terrible.
Well, there was a period, I think it's a bit lost now. Nobody talks about it. But in the early 90s, I think there was a period where there was an American techno scene in New York and LA.
Yeah.
It wasn't really Chicago and Detroit. It had kind of moved on.
Right.
And there was like, I think a lot of the time they had like an MC.
Yeah.
There was like a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
yeah.
Do you remember Charlie Casanova? You know?
Of course.
I was a lot of those records with him on vocals in New York. I was really into
Right.
all this stuff like coming out of the limelight
And then I read somewhere you're talking about going to India, but I also read that your dad was kind of a DJ. He was making mixtapes back then.
Yeah, well, he was doing it in India.
Right.
So yeah, so maybe basically in India, there's a place called Goa, and Goa had an early hippie dance music community. It was a bit like Ibiza.
Right. Oh,
So
right.
these are real.
right.
These are crazy parties.
Right.
I mean, this is the real deal. But they didn't have turntables. They didn't. Later on, they got DAT players, and at the beginning, they would just play cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a little community of DJs, well, people from all over the world who would collect the records, put them onto tape, and play them at these parties.
Wow.
My dad was one of those. And yeah, so when I was really young, I was like making tapes for him and stuff.
So you're putting a song on a tape, then watching people dance.
Yeah.
So you're taking this all in early.
Yeah, very early. And
That's crazy.
yeah, that's what I mean by like the seeing people, because when rave hit and acid house and everything, you know, in the early 90s, I'm sure for you too, the very basic thing of like people being on drugs all night going crazy was kind of like a new concept.
Right.
It doesn't seem new now, but it was like, but I had seen that since I was like 6 years old. So I wasn't ever like freaked out by it. I was more like, why can't we have that at home? You know, why can't we bring that back to Montreal or whatever?
And then you started bringing it back to Montreal. You started throwing raves.
Yeah. Once I was old enough to like shave. No, once I was like 16 or 17, I started to throw parties in Montreal, and it was.
And was your dad had to be like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
got it.
He was supportive.
Right.
He had a job. He'd come by the party at like 2 a.m., 6 a.m., and 9 a.m.
To pick up money?
Yeah.
No.
You know how it works. I'd have a backpack full of
Right.
money.
Right.
And I'd do 3 pickups.
Right. Nice. Nice. And you threw one of the first biggest raves in Montreal, right? With like 3,000 or 4,000 people?
Yeah, the Solstice. That was in
Right.
90.
Who was on that
92, I
lineup?
think. Richie Houghton,
Nice.
a guy from New York, DJ Repeat.
Yeah. Okay.
If you know who Repeat
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
do you?
Yeah, of course.
Peter DeMarco. Yeah, well, I was very into that like Sonic Groove, Brooklyn
Right.
rave scene. Because for us,
Frankie Bones.
Bones and Adam,
Yeah.
and so we had Repeat, who was from that New York hardcore scene. We had Richie Houghton, John Acquaviva, and I think the rest were locals. And obviously, I
Right.
gave myself a good spot. I had to.
And you were at that point in time, you were full on DJing. Like that was a thing for
Oh
you.
yeah.
When were you at that point? Were you looking at it as a career? Because you're seeing like, was that a way of getting out of Montreal? Was that kind of a part of the plan, I should say?
I did have a plan, that's for sure. I don't know. I was very ambitious. I don't think the word career. I was too young to really
Right.
even. The word career
Maybe a
was thought.
plan.
But yeah, but I was 100%. I was like building my empire. Like I was following this kind of rave dream.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you were around at that age, it was like everything was so new and so excited. So it was like the parties were central. DJing was central.
Yeah.
I kind of threw parties to give myself jobs. DJing was the most important, parties. But then it was like you wanted to have a record store, you wanted to have a magazine, you wanted to have a clothing company. It just, they all kind of, I think it was very similar in all the cities. So I was doing all that.
You had a record store too?
I did, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
DNA Records.
Okay.
Yeah, I opened a record store in
I
'94.
remember DNA Records.
That
That's
was
crazy.
That was a good shop. And I worked hard. That was the hardest I ever worked in my
Right.
life, I think. And then I opened a nightclub in '96 and my record label in '98. And the record label's still going. So yeah, I was really, I was
And they
serious.
all fed each other. Which
Yeah.
is
Yeah, but the truth is what I didn't, I only really wanted to DJ.
Right.
I wanted to be an artist. All that entrepreneurial business kind of stuff was like, I was very ambitious. And young, and I wanted a bit of money and I wanted all those, but in truth, that stuff all started to weigh me down.
Right.
And by the late '90s, early 2000s, I was like, my real dream was to make music and to be a DJ.
Right.
So
I went through some of the same. I started, you might know this record label or not, but I started Aqua Boogie Records, and we had like
name rings a
DJ
bell.
Funk.
Oh, that's good.
We had, we had some big success with Aqua Boogie Records, but it was the same thing. It was kind of at the end of the day, I just wanted to DJ. I just wanted to tour.
I think a lot of us from that generation, first of all, the business was so much less evolved. It was all kind of jumbled up.
Right.
And I think a lot of us, in truth, you just wanted to hang out with other artists. You wanted to meet other people.
Right.
You wanted to trade records. And in doing that, you kind of fall into the business.
Right.
So it's like, that's how it was with me at the club. It started, I just wanted to book all my friends. And that's like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to start my own club. I didn't want to be a club owner.
Right.
It was like, so.
You were doing a night, or you actually?
No, I owned a club.
Wow.
And it was like the biggest club in Canada.
Right.
And it was a nightmare. I don't recommend that business. It was tough. But
And who are some of the DJs that came through your club? Just
the club was called Sona.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 94, 5, 6. It was like mid 90s.
right.
I mean, at that time, so on my end, I was always trying to bring techno guys and new guys. So I gave Adam Bayer his first show ever
Nice.
in North America. I used to bring, so on my end, I was trying to bring techno guys. And I remember opening night was Rabbit in the Moon. Remember them?
Wow, of course.
They were opening.
I was hanging with them the other day.
Yeah,
Just saw them the other
they were
day.
good,
Yeah.
underrated. But in general, what really worked in Montreal was, it was like the classic, like David Morales, and
Right.
it was much more like the New York house sound,
Right.
Satoshi Tomei,
Danny Tenaglia.
yeah, Danny. It was all those guys. That's always been really big in Montreal, I think, because it's close to New York, and I think like the big, any of that kind of like that mid-late 90s kind of hard tribal house sound was really big.
Right.
So, which has never been my thing.
Right. So I kind of like discovered you, like a lot of people with sunglasses at night.
Yeah.
And my question to you at that point in time, you're DJing, you make this song. What made you decide to like, I need to do the vocals on this?
Oh, it's just, I mean, the whole story around Sunglasses Night is like a fairy tale. It's just like, it's everything that, anybody who's ever laid in their bed dreaming of, being a musician.
Right.
It was like all those fantasies coming true in a very accidental, lucky kind of way. So basically, I booked a friend of mine to play my club for the big Y2K party. Remember when we all
everything was going to shut
everything
down.
was going to shut down. Look how
it was over.
Look how we survived. Anyway, it was over. Yeah, exactly. So I booked my friend to be there. He DJs. Next morning, he's sleeping in my house again. Old style. People just sleep at your sleep on your floor.
Yeah,
nobody's booking hotels.
Yeah, nobody. Right.
And anyway, and so he's like, well, why don't we try making a track? And so we did this track, and I didn't really have that much to offer technically. Right. So I'm like, I'll sing these words, and I had the idea to do a cover. So it started really with like, I'll sing because I don't. You're doing the rest.
That?
No. Zero.
So what gets you like? Okay, I'm gonna sing this.
I mean, the extent to which I had done like messages for my answering machine.
Right.
Like that was the extent of I had done radio. I had spoken a lot on radio. I felt, but no, I hadn't. Anyway, I remember we made it really quickly. And then my record store, which I owned, was like a block away. And we went quickly to the record store to play it for all the guys at the shop. And I remember being so embarrassed. Like when I had never heard my voice like that before.
Right.
But everyone else loved it. And, what happened after we made that in January, and by March, it was like the number one track all over Germany. Yeah. Everybody was playing it. And then it was a huge track in the summer at the Love Parade.
Right.
And like pretty much overnight, I had a booking agent and I dumped everything else fast, like record store, like all that other stuff was like adios.
Right.
Like that was thanks for nothing. But I was very, very happy. And kind of lucky. It's like a punk garage story. We just, because we made it in a few hours. There's a lot of funny things about that record. Like, we made decisions that people afterwards were like, wow, so smart to reduce it to, because it was a cover version.
Right.
So smart to reduce it to these simple elements. And I'd be like, we had no sample RAM on the MPC. We didn't have a sampler. We were using just a really ghetto MPC. So we could only keep like one phrase at a time. So we anyway.
Right.
Lots of little things about it really worked it was a nice story for me. And what happened in the couple of years after that were just like, I was really living my dream.
And that kind of gave you just the confidence of like, I got to do more vocals.
Yeah. I mean, that gave me, I was already kind of like an overconfident kid. I don't know.
But I guess confidence as in a performer.
Yes.
Your vocals.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, it was like, okay, your voice has some value. You can do it. Because a lot of people also were very shy about that. I was like, okay, sure, I'll do that. So yes. But the major confidence with that was just this crazy idea that you can do something, you and your friend, alone, with no money, in an hour, and it can change your life. Right. That concept gave me a lot of confidence. Right. And also it was like, we were never helped. We didn't have a label. Like Gigolo was backing us. But what I mean by, and also DJ Hell, who was my label head at that point, he didn't make me do anything. I never had to do an interview. So the lesson for me was, like, you can get everything you want without playing ball at all. And that really stuck with me.
Right.
Maybe even to my detriment in a way, because the last 20 years, that's kind of my philosophy. It's like, I just don't do things that I don't want to do. Right. And I let the chips fall where they may. But I got that confidence because of the early success,
And what's crazy is because, like, I don't know the history before that, so I see this record, and then your next single, I think it was Hot in Here.
Yeah, and then Pleasure from the Bass.
Right. So I'm thinking, like, this is just kind of like a vocal, like, I don't know you're a DJ.
Yeah.
Like, my interpretation is like, all right, here's this kind of cheeky kind of singer doing, like, that's my interpretation. Did you then have to work the DJ angle back in?
That's a good question. I never got asked that. Well, the thing for me was I wanted to be a DJ. It's not like when I put those rock records out, it's not like I wanted to be a pop star.
Right.
So for me, as soon as I got my chance, I was just like, yo, I'll DJ everywhere, you know? So I started getting bookings and then I really made my mark as a DJ. So like then I did that DJ Kicks series.
Right.
And I think that helped me a lot.
Right.
And yeah. In my mind, I was always a DJ who made this music on the side. But yeah, it's true, I guess. But I did have some difficulty through the years, probably because of what you said, where there was like a bit of a
disconnect
yes,
a little bit.
yes.
Right.
There's always been a bit of a disconnect because I've made records. The best example is probably You Gonna Want Me, which was like a pretty big pop dance record.
Right.
And, you know, so then obviously they want you to, you know, get up on stage and sashay and twirl and whatever. And then, you know, you're booked and you're playing like, you know, and then I'm all the way on the other extreme where I'm like, yo, I'm gonna play underground acid for it. So they don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that. And, you know, so I think in a lot of ways that's like, I think that probably hurt me in terms of hitting certain like commercial peaks, but I think it really helped me in terms of like longevity 100%. And just staying interesting because you know, anyway, you can't make everyone happy.
Right. You can't. So your new album, HOTLIFE, which is a freaking vibe. I mean,
thank you.
It's raw, it's underground, it's cheeky, it's a little weird. Yeah. I love it. I mean,
those are all the things I like, by the way. You just rattled off
there you go.
The 4 points on the compass.
Let's talk about a couple of the songs. Let's talk about Hot Wife, your collab with Boys Noise. That tune has just got the funk. I'm sure you guys probably share a kindred spirit, you and Boys Noise.
Yeah, we're really good friends. Yeah. I mean, I've known him since his first record on Gigolo, I think he was like 14 years old or something like that. So I remember he was sending me demos when he was like a kid, as in like needs his parents to be around. So I love Alex. I can't say he's one of the real ones, like just insanely good DJ. But he's just, and you see it now with all his stuff with 9 Inch Nails. He's a real music guy, a real producer. He just loves it. And we've been friends for a while. And we've made tracks over the years. And that one, basically we're just messing around. And that one at the beginning, he loved it from the beginning. I was a little uptight. I felt the bass line was a little too. I don't know.
Too much funk?
Yeah. For me, Right. I'm a more of like a limited funk guy.
The acid.
Exactly.
Yes.
Me, it's like a shadow of funk.
Right.
This was like, no, this is in your face. And everyone around me was like, come on, it's so good. And I basically waited for a couple of years until I kind of came around to it. I was like, okay, you're being a little bit uptight. This is a killer record. It's fun. Right. And then I put it first on the record kind of symbolically to be like, almost to prove to myself, like, okay, you got to chill a little bit. Like, this is a fun record. It's a party record. You kind of flex that side a little more. I think my wife's always telling me, just like, just have fun. You know, people want to have fun. I do. I can lean a little bit more to the deeper, weirder, acidy stuff left to my own devices.
Right. Yeah. I'm guessing when you were a kid, before you got into the rave scene, I'm guessing you were the kid listening to Blondie, Devo.
Dude, you got
Human League.
He's good. This guy's good.
I just see where you're coming from.
First record I ever bought was Blondie, Parallel Lines with my dad.
Okay.
That's my first record and my first crush.
Right.
Yeah, Blondie for sure. Human League, not so much, but later,
Right.
And I was huge into Soft Cell, Depeche Mode, Duran Duran. And then I went pretty heavy industrial with like DAF, 9 Inch Nails.
Right.
You know, 9 Inch Nails were huge for me. Huge.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think we're probably from a similar, you know, a lot of guys from Chicago who grew up with wax tracks and then went into house music, similar energy.
Similar stuff.
It's funny, actually, I never thought about, I forget now because LA became such a big house music EDM place.
Right.
But I forget that for so many years, LA had a lot of that weirder,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it
the
still
clubs-
does. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
weird
yeah.
place.
The clubs in the '80s
Yeah.
were weird. I mean, and we also had a radio station like K Rock
Yeah.
that really, was pushing a lot of that sound before.
And you were massive with like new wave, and I mean,
Yeah.
Depeche Mode. That whole
Yeah.
101's here, right?
Yeah.
Pasadena and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That all started here,
Yeah.
or help break them in the States.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite tunes on the album is High Roller.
Oh,
The acid funk track,
Yeah.
just the funk. I mean, my question is, on that song, did you write the lyrics after you heard the track, or did you grab some lyrics, some ideas that you really had?
well, the lyrics are cover. It's a cover version. The lyrics.
I didn't know.
It's
that.
an Ice-T track.
I did not know.
I shouldn't have told you.
Oh,
I had a split-second decision there to take the credit or to be honest, and I went with honesty.
okay, that's good.
So but yeah, that's like that instrumental. That's my shit. Like
Right.
that's
Right.
the thing. I could listen to that all day.
Right.
I know not everyone can listen to it all day.
Right.
But that's really, it's just 303 and just it's like worked,
Yep.
massaged until I don't know. It's hard to put into words.
And
You
what-
either get
how
it.
did-
Or
how did you? How did you?
How'd that become an Ice-T record?
Yeah.
Well, that's just like.
Did you just start singing the Ice-T record over the track?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't plan much musically, and I do have a big. I guess I have a lot of songs in my head all the time,
Right.
and a lot of songs I know the words from
Right.
when I was younger.
Right.
And sometimes what I'll do is if I have a really sick beat, I'll be like, okay, you need some lyrics on this, and it just happens where like a phrase from a song I know will pop into my head. I'll put it down sometimes as a placeholder, tell myself, yeah, okay, later change that to get some
Right.
publishing and
Right.
to be whatever. And then sometimes it's a combination of I like it too much in its demo form, plus I'm a
Right.
bit lazy and I just leave it. And yeah, that's it.
And sometimes it just works.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah, it works. I'm also too sometimes, some cover versions when if it's a bit esoteric, it's like, and so much time has passed. Most people don't even know.
No,
like it's.
I didn't know it, and I know Ice-T. I don't know all the Ice-T songs.
I was
but
pretty big into Ice-T when I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah, I was also I went through a pretty big hip hop phase.
Right.
That
Were you breakdancing?
no, I never.
No.
I tried. I wasn't good enough.
Okay.
I was part of a crew. I joined a crew just to get the suit, to get the
To get the
someone's
tracksuit.
mom made like the K-Way jackets or whatever. But I never. No, but I was big into
Ice-T. Run
Ice-T.
DMC.
Yeah, NWA,
Right.
Public Enemy.
Right.
That was my Public Enemy were
was
my
incredible.
number one.
Yeah.
Still Public Enemy tracks. The production is like wild. The
Right.
records are just ridiculously good.
And his voice is still
Incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
incredible.
No,
Nothing like
they're 10 out of 10,
Right.
and the visual, they are 10 out of 10.
Right. Another one of my favorite tunes on the album is I Am Your Detroit Sunrise.
You got good taste.
And like there's no vocals on it. Like, it's probably the only track on the album that doesn't have vocals,
I
right?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But that tune, it just kind of reminds me of like, it's like the last tune you would play at the afters to end the
100%.
night.
100%.
Was that the concept behind it?
100%.
Wow.
You got all the answers.
Right. I don't have the answer.
No, you do.
I'm just listening to it. I'm just like, wow.
No, but I mean, you get
And you push that song as far as you can
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Like you're almost like, something's gonna
Yeah.
happen. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
nah, I'll go. Yeah.
Well, that was the exact reason. That's even why it has that title. It was like I wanted to. Me and my friend, it's this guy Quinn from Paranoid London,
Mhm.
and especially because I nowadays, especially you get pulled in different directions. You want to make a big banger. You want to make a festival track. You want to make a catchy track. You want to make, and then sometimes you're like, no, I want to make a record for what you just described. I want to make a record for like 6 a.m, the after hours when you got nothing to prove. The people they're not going. The ones that are still there are staying there, and you can kind of flex this weird minimal. You have this captive audience, and so that there's this weird flute solo I played, and is just having fun with that and just feeling free to do that, which is actually like really a lot of fun, Kind of making that track made me jealous of some of the guys that I, guys like Moody Man or,
Right.
well, maybe not the perfect example, but
Right.
just a lot of the guys who I've always bought their deep, trippy records. And I'm like, fuck, it's fun to make that stuff. It's
Right.
nice to unwind a little.
Did some of that inspiration, I guess, come from maybe like owning the club and being there at the end of the night and understanding that energy? Or is this from
Yeah.
raves, understanding that energy at the end of the
Yeah,
night, the
well,
6 a.m. energy?
Listen, the 6 a.m. energy, you've either lived it or you haven't. You know,
Right.
you can't try to, I mean, God help someone who tries to make a record like that who hasn't been there. I wouldn't,
Right.
no, because that's drug music. That's music that has to take care of you in a sense. You can't have any jagged edges. You can't have the arrangement decisions are really important, and it's a skill. There's guys like, Matthew Johnson.
Yeah.
Do you know him? Like,
Yeah.
there are guys who are masters at that. I
Yeah.
mean, their arrangements are so psychedelic and fluid. And, for me, yeah, but that is, I mean, I have spent my entire life in clubs, for better or for worse. Like, I've been out at night every weekend for like 100 years.
Right.
So there are some things you just get, you just know the feeling,
Right.
But I actually, in a lot of ways, I feel more comfortable. That after hours feeling, I feel a little more comfortable with that than like festival banger, I think.
Right.
It's a bit more. And I like it too. I don't find myself at those parties that often anymore. But DJ wise, I still, there's still some places in Germany and in Spain where I play in the morning. And still, like, it's one of the best feelings in the world, when you're playing those types of records.
Mhm.
And it's not great for business, but it's but it's a really good feeling.
Right. Another thing I want to talk to you about is like Montreal has a rich history of 80s electronic music that a lot of people it doesn't get talked about enough. And you may be aware of this or not, but stuff like Trans-X, Living on Video.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say, now you're going to say Gino Socio.
Yeah, Gino Socio,
Yeah.
Taps.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we had Unidisc.
Yes,
That Unidisc was
right.
in Montreal.
Yes.
A bunch of Italian
So were
guys.
you aware of that? Like,
Not at the time.
not at the time.
No. I didn't even know till later. Something like Trans-X, I didn't know till much later that it came from
Right.
Montreal. I mean, I think when the electros, for us, the electro clash years, so like late 99, early 2000s,
Right.
a lot of my European friends started telling me like, yo, did you know this stuff's from Montreal? And that was kind of the first time that was the first time I knew that Gino Socio was from Montreal, for example. I can't claim but yeah, I think again, there's
something in the water.
yeah, there's
there.
something.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it is it's a bit, we were always really influenced by New York. So I think like New York club scene, house music, and disco was
Right.
always pretty big. And then we're just a party city. Like we're just a pretty liberal, chill party city. And we have a bit of a freak edge to us,
Right.
like in a good way.
Right.
So I think you put all that stuff together and, and also the French thing helps. Like,
Right.
because we have a bit, I guess, because some of those records, I think, because you had this a lot with Italo disco,
Right.
where you have people singing in their second language. So I think that gives it that weird, something like Living on Video.
There was a French version.
Yeah,
there
was
is.
an
English and a French
I think there is.
version.
And I
Yes.
think, I'm not sure with Living on Video, but a lot of those records, they're singing English kind of as a second language.
Right.
So it gives
right.
it that weird, tripped out feeling,
energy. That's crazy.
I don't know the exact, I mean,
Right.
when I was really young and I started going to parties and my mentors, like the early older DJs, they were all like, gay disco DJs
Right.
who had, so disco was a huge thing in Montreal.
Right.
Huge.
Right. I was just wondering, maybe your dad were playing some of these records.
No.
What was your dad playing?
I'm trying to think of my dad. Well, my dad did give me my copy. I mean, look, like a lot of kids, I kind of pick on my dad,
Right,
I don't want to give him too much credit. But well, my dad did give me his copy of I Feel Love, the Patrick Howley mix, which he had on 12-inch.
You had an original 12-inch
Yes,
copy of that.
I do. And he gave it to me, and I got to give props where props are due. And he always did say, this is the best dance song ever made. So yeah. He was a bit more into, I mean, I was going to say he's older than me, but he's from New York,
Right.
and he grew up. I mean, he knew every '50s record. He had all
okay.
and then later on, he got into like, I guess it was like new wave. Like he got into early new wave, but I can't remember too many records directly that I got from him.
But you remember the I Feel Love, absolutely.
Yeah. But you know how it is too. It's a bit weird when you're a kid. You want to differentiate a little bit, 100%. Even if you don't want to like the same record as your dad, even if it's good.
Right. Another song on the album that I really dig. I mean, and probably the most obvious song is the Need You Tonight, the NXS, which is a really creative cover. Talk to us about why you chose that song.
Well, that's similar pattern to what I told you about High Rollers, which is like I really loved the instrumental. I was like, okay, we got a live one, we got a good one. And it's just like, I don't know, I might have heard it on I might have heard it that morning on Spotify. So I don't know how it gets lodged in my head. But that one, what happened with that was, so I had a bit of a decision because Need You Tonight's a very well-known and obvious cover song. It's been covered. Everyone knows it. You know, it's not exactly under the radar. But what I did find was that Michael Hutchence, his phrases, like those phrases like, I've got to let you know, or slide over here, or they're almost like hip house. Like I started to hear them almost as like acid house phrases. So that's when I was like, okay, it's kind of cool to strip all the melody back, to not use there's no ding, 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 ding. There's none of the memorable stuff, but basically just, okay, kiss away my publishing again, but to redo these as, because he always delivered stuff kind of sexy, kind of. I'm a big fan, by the way, but I thought it was cool. The phrases chopped up started to sound to me like acid house phrases. So that's when I was like, okay, I like this. It's cool.
So that's funny that you just said hip house. I just finished up flipping "Get Busy" by Mr. Lee.
Great. Yeah. Hip house is, again, so underrated.
Yes.
There's some things in the States that like not in this. I think like early 90s techno from the States, hip house and freestyle are things that like
crazy. You say
are things that don't, especially in the outside world, like they haven't, like people borrow from it without maybe knowing, but it's never got its like big full.
No, you're 100%.
Full
100%. It's almost.
Those are like original party records.
Yeah, 100%.
Hip house, crazy, Fast Eddie.
Yeah, Fast Eddie, amazing.
I didn't do it on purpose, but sometimes when I listen to some of my songs, I feel like I copied them a bit. Like I don't feel like I copied anyone consciously, but but definitely the stuff that obviously really made an impression on me without me even knowing is like acid house, like Adonis and stuff like that, and stuff like Fast Eddie.
Yeah, for sure. When I'm listening to the album, it feels very like stripped down and raw. Like, did you make a conscious effort? Not saying that you did this, like we can only have 16 tracks on each song. Was there any conscious effort?
I don't,
because you can overproduce now.
I can't.
These days.
No, I first of all, I don't like busy music. I don't like overproduced music. I don't like too many layers. I'm not really like technically, it's not that I'm good enough. I just like, it's got no appeal to me. There were periods in my life where I thought, you think, okay, you're supposed to take it to another level. You're quote unquote you got to get this mixed, and people will, that shit, you get bombarded with that. Like, yeah, it's not good enough yet. It has to be mixed, or we're going to get mastered by this guy. Like, but the point is, I reached a point where I'm like, I just say no to all of that because, it just doesn't, I just don't like that. I just don't like how it sounds. I really like.
So you're mixing and mastering all your stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I have friends or people who I do work with, but what I mean is, basically, if there's no such thing as too raw for me or too much like a demo, or it just doesn't bother me. It just doesn't, the polish doesn't add to it for me, for my music.
Right.
And the records I've made that are what I consider are my best records, they usually have 5 things happening, 4, 5, 6 things. And for me, Bugatti or Pleasure from the Bass or You Gonna Want Me or Sunglasses at Night, there's no way they would be better if I added strings and a little transient kick and some extra texture, and then gave it all to the best mixer in the world, like there's no way they'd be better records.
They'd
be worse records.
Yeah, they'd be
100%.
worse because it wouldn't have that raw, like.
Yeah. Also, too, I make records for myself. Like, I need to feel it sounds good. But this thing you just brought up, it's a bit of a problem. Like, it's a problem for me because you work, I'm not stupid. Like, I know what records sound like now.
Right.
Especially.
Well, you're DJing, you're playing some of them. Right.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of them. And I know, especially like in dynamics, and, some of my stuff sounds little rough at times, certainly on a festival system, or you play it next to a record that's just so perfect, and but this is how it is.
But I think that's part of the charm. I think that's what makes you unique. It makes you stand out.
I mean, look, I think everyone, I give all producers and artists out there the benefit of the doubt. I think everyone's kind of trying their best to make stuff that they like.
Right.
That's how I look at it. And this is, I make the stuff I like.
Right. Now, you have such an eclectic, I think, music taste, and this might be hard for you, but who is on Tiga's Mount Rushmore of dance artists, whether it's techno? Okay. Who's on that?
Yeah, the Mount Rushmore. Well, I mean, Jeff Mills is there because... he's one of the only guys I know that's like really cool. And he was kind of, I don't have any heroes, but he was kind of a hero. I saw him when I was like 17 years old. I went to the Limelight and I saw him DJ in New York.
Right.
And that was like, you asked a moment.
Right.
Where, I'm like, I want that.
Right.
And everything from how he dressed to how he spoke but mainly the energy. And I've met him and become friends, and he never disappointed. It's just, so he's there. Aphex Twin is there. Similar kind of reasons, even though the music, but just also just a guy who just never screwed up. He's just so cool. And probably the music I've listened to the most in my life is Aphex Twin.
Got two more.
Like dance music, right?
It could, if you want to say 9 Inch Nails.
I'm going to say one band. I'm going to put Soft Cell because it's not that they're my favorite. Yeah, they're kind of my favorite because their music also was very stripped down, very club oriented. They kind of used a lot of the same drums and the same sounds, but then he had this incredible personality on top, and it was quite raw. And so of all the 80s bands, it was the one I related to the most. And, I couldn't make music like Spandau Ballet. I couldn't make stuff like Simple Minds. It's too complicated, too advanced.
But Soft Cell,
I can't. With. And so fourth spot, I'll say Paranoid London. I'll say this guy Quinn, more recent, but like if there's anyone in the world who has I'm taking that back.
Sorry, we're gonna add a fifth.
Sorry, Quinn. No.
We'll add a fifth.
Okay, well,
one.
So if we can add a fifth, I'm gonna say so. Paranoid London, just because if there's anyone in the world who just gets the spirit of like what you said, just gritty, sexy, acid funk, it's them, and it's in his blood, and it's perfect. No, I was gonna say Green Velvet because like I don't play that many Green Velvet, but Green Velvet is probably. There's a lot of similarities with me by accident, but like the guy he's big, but he's also kind of underrated.
Right.
The guy has made so many incredible records, so many hits.
Even as Kashmir.
I'm saying the whole picture.
Yeah,
I mean, from Casual Records, Kashmir, Green Velvet, but everything from La La Land to but he's done industrial records. Right. He's done, and I think in dance music, he's definitely the number one for me for creativity, for ideas and for funk and but everything just tracky and raw. But he's got the personality too. So he's the full package.
Right. All right. Well, the album is amazing. You've got to be very excited about having this piece of work. Having an album, I would assume is like, you're getting excited to get out of bed in the morning, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now feels really good. Like this is a good feeling because it's done.
Right.
So I don't have to work on it anymore. And you get to talk about it with people. And also I have to say, like, it's not always the same. Sometimes you do things and you like it and nobody cares.
Right.
And sometimes you do things and you like it and seems like everyone does care. And I've had both experiences in my career. And right now, 2026, for whatever reason, I'm getting a lot of people seem to like the music,
Right.
and I very much appreciate it. And yes, it does feel good to get out of bed in the morning.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, it's good having you on Powertools, man.
Thank you. And I really, I feel like me and you could spend about 100 hours talking about old records together.
100%.
Which is a nice feeling. Okay, thank you.
Powertools.